And if it takes more effort, I'm going to be kind and nice.
Yeah, it does
Right?
take more effort.
The lemonine in it. Scottbro's great lemonine. Anxious doing it, and that is just making a conscious decision to not do it.
We're getting an investor for your episodes in your show, but when Mo came on, he blows our mind. Our mind. Just right on time for when I'm going for our winning. What did we learn from Mo? He taught us how to grow. Not like Scott grows this dopeness, but the dope person that we all wanna become. What you running from? Where you take it to? Yo, Winnie, tell us what we just learned is new.
No reactivity. No reactivity. Take a breath, take a moment, find the response. You can do what you want, still be kind though. No reactivity. No reactivity. Take a breath, take a moment, you got this. Choose to be kind, there's no other option.
I try to be kind, but how come I can't seem to get out ahead of my mind?
Welcome to Disciplined Stoners, the gateway drug to mindfulness.
To think that we started this podcast to fight a stigma, only to uncover so much love that we realized that you can't put your energy anywhere but what you want.
Look deeper. Feel more. Tune in.
So much love. The Disciplined Stoners.
We're not here to distract ourselves.
The gateway drug to mindfulness.
We're here to learn. We're here to grow.
And welcome back to another episode of Disciplined Stoners. I'm your host, Ellevan.
My name is Winnie.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And today, you sent me his intro. I'm going to read it, but also I got to say, this is our man who, we've just been vibing with for a minute because he's such an energy in any event that I see him in. He is currently working, I guess I can read it from here. He's sales and culture for Rocket Factory, a merry prankster, and a cosmic voyager, hippie, deadhead, and weed enthusiast for 30 years,
Yes.
medicinal patient and educator for 10 years. I just want y'all to get your joints up and say hello to your new stoner friend, Mor
Berghaus!
I'm sorry, you did his last name.
No, I've given you. Thank you for the beautiful intro.
You're welcome,
That's
bro.
amazing.
Thank you for filling out
Both
the
of you.
form.
You're such a vibe, dude. That's the thing, right off the top. We were at a show even last night when he did a set for Puff over at the Green Merchant. And literally, she's like, yeah, I know, Mo. Your name rings bells in these
Puff
streets,
does?
bro.
Oh, nice.
No, our friend the bud tender there did.
Oh, nice.
Right away, she knew Rocket Factory too and Mo, and just the impact that you're making. I wanted to start off here. I want you to get more in your background and history, but I wanted to give you these flowers off the top. The impact you're making by just being a good heart in these streets is wide and far and going to go deeper, I think, than people realize. It's something you can't buy with graphics. It's something that you can't fake with a business acumen.
The first time, because
It's amazing.
I'm fairly socially awkward, or I have been in the past. Now that I'm in my 30s and stuff, I'm kind of getting over myself, and just beating that awkwardness.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I think it was an OPP party.
Yeah.
And we just connected maybe for the first time on more than surface level on things that I really like, topics like vulnerability and moving through this world, as a human pod.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
remember that was the first time at a weed event that I was I really enjoyed myself. It wasn't that I don't enjoy myself at other places, but I feel sometimes there's a lot going on and I get distracted and there is surface level conversations because we have to have those too. And I was just oh, I fuck with this guy.
But that's part of it. I walked away with the same feeling where I had a great conversation. That made the event that much better, not just being a stoner, but actually being a stoner with intention.
Hey.
It's so nourishing.
Use it to go somewhere.
Always.
You know?
Well, that's a kind of a good segue to just talk about where you started with weed, how old you were. Do you remember your first experience with weed?
I was 19, so didn't smoke in high school. Virgin lungs.
That's unusual for most people that come on this podcast.
I feel like the amount of passion and love and positive connectivity it's had with me. I should have been smoking when I was 13. Like, there's no question. I
People
should
say
have been.
14, yeah. People say 14.
Like all the people that my regular crew growing up in my 20s, they were all early stoners.
Yeah.
Nice.
And a lot of people came up to me in first year university when I first started, and they're like, "I don't believe you don't smoke, dude. You'd be so much fun to smoke with.
You are
I'm like,
weed,
but it doesn't matter if I'm high or not. Like we're still like I'm the same dude."
Yeah.
And then I started smoking, and immediately it was something different, right? And looking back now with the knowledge I have, definitely there was a medicinal quality that connected with me that just made me feel better.
Yeah.
Right? That nothing else was able to provide.
Did you party first with it, then find the medicine?
100%. I mean, it was 20 years in until we
yeah.
kind of realized that, I mean, I've had Crohn's. I had Crohn's when I first started. And back then it was just, you know, my life perspective at that point was starting to change, where it was, I can focus in on the negative side of my life and be pulled into that vortex, that black hole, or I can focus in on putting out happy, positive energy, having happy, positive experiences, and choose to live, right? I mean,
you chose life.
I chose life.
You're doing
Right?
the work. You're doing the work. And, like, you can't fake the funk on that work. And I feel like that's why as an energy, me and Winnie feel so comfortable. It's like we can bring you anything. And, like, we could start the place where it's vulnerable and maybe we're not doing so good, but we trust that we'll find a brighter way together. I said that earlier, Will. We encourage each other to maybe raise the vibration on stuff, you know? Like, get to toss it in there. What like, obviously you just said, like, you're finding weed. It's helping you, you know, get in touch with these deeper emotions. What was that like doing the work? I think a lot of the work, I mean, we even connected the other day. We had a wicked session in our place, and me and Winnie we're having some experiences, and I think we're testing with your developed, grounded perspective, like just where our emotions, you know, are justified to lay, kind of like it was nice to interact on that level. And then basically you just kept coming back to, like, you know, we are each other. We are the reflection of our experiences. And, like, was that a perspective that you did a bunch of work, landed on, haven't budged since? If it's a daily practice, what that looks like, and just like a little bit of that mindfulness, because I think you're tuned in to a level that's even like beyond my impulses, which I really admire. So, like, if you could share a little bit, like what that's like to find, like, perhaps say non-reactivity or that self-awareness that we're just a reflection of our own inner world and shit. Like, are you locked in there forever? You never get, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, at this point in my life, absolutely. That's part of what I try to achieve on a day-to-day, second-to-second thing, right? Like, where you get on a beautiful meditation session is what I want to do when I'm normally breathing, walking, and talking. I want to be aware. I want to be as present in the now, in the moment. And that all goes back to enjoying life. How do I appreciate the most out of life? If my life arc is all of a sudden shortened, am I going to walk away feeling happy and satisfied of who I am in that instant moment? Right? And everything that led into it. And I mean, this comes like 10 years ago, I had a near-death experience.
okay.
Right? So this is part of what, like, woke up that side of me where...
Honestly, that's what I'm curious about. That's kind of
Can we talk about it?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the details were, it was 2013, April. I went up to Ottawa. And this part of the story is kind of important because the medical system in Ottawa was not as proficient at dealing with Crohn's cases. Right, so for them, I knew more than most of the doctors in terms of what is and what isn't.
Don't say that too loud.
But I go up there. I drive my daughter, who was even one at that point.
Wow.
And the moment I get there, I go to the bathroom, and it's all blood.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
just like, and that's
scary.
never happened to me in 20 years going into it with Crohn's. I've never had blood come out that way. So I was just like, we're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, couple movements there, blood. And then all of a sudden there was one that was no blood. I stopped bleeding. They're like, oh, you're okay to go home.
Yeah.
Right. So I go home,
Classic.
sleep it off. And
Don't be a strain to our system.
wake up, same thing happened. And now I'm in there. They're like, we got to give you a blood transfusion.
Sure.
This goes on for like 3-4 days. I'm in intensive care where there's just people, like literally beds are changing. And I'm just like, I'm surviving all these dudes, right? And I'm like,
Whoa.
Instead of letting the vibration of bad news drop you, because we all know all you can hear is like mechanics, machines, the stress of people's bodies and auras and their pain body expanding, being in there can be sickening.
Good.
Amazing, thank you. Yes, and then you choose to fucking own a perspective like I'm outlasting these guys. Oh my god, that's fucking nuts.
But in that moment, it's like, how do I get that centering and balancing where I'm not losing my shit? Like I'm bleeding out. They're giving me transfusions every time. Like every day they're changing. My arms are black and blue from the IVs, and they're pumping me full of like collageral, like blood coagulants and like steroids to try stop the bleeding. And every time they go do a test, they're like, we can't see where it's bleeding from because it's not bleeding when we're taking a look. So we can't cauterize it internally. And then like this goes on for like 2 days. I have a night where I think I had 5 blood transfusions, but I definitely like, I went to the other side that night, right? Like where I'm having a movement and all of a sudden I know I'm floating somewhere else.
Whoa.
Right? And the next day they're like, we're going to give you surgery. We're going to cut out that area where we think the blood's coming from, where we think.
Yeah.
I'm down in there, ready, prepped, and I'm waiting. And finally a nurse comes. It's like, the doctor got called away. He's a head trauma guy for Eastern Ontario. And there was like, he's doing brain surgery at another hospital. He had to fly off. Right? So you're going back up.
Rock stars,
And
rock star doctors.
that night, I guess whatever they're pumping in, or just because I'd already seen the light,
It's
and
a
I was
lot.
like, I want to go back because I'm not happy with where I am, right? And this is reflective where I was like, that's when I decided I need to change my life. On many things that were, I mean, I was working on Bay Street. I was helping people make their money do more for them and give them their dreams, but answering, what have you accomplished? What's your legacy in life? I mean, sure, I had some children, but they were still very young. And saying I was making 2%ers become 1%ers, as admirable as that may seem, that just did not generate a level of light in me where I felt like that was content. And
Wow.
and at that
It's so
point,
trippy to think about because we only know you now. And so it's just so
Bay Street Mo, what was he like?
wild.
Bay Street Mo was, I mean, inside I was this kind of person. I mean, I help manage people, so I was always trying to elevate the joy, like bring in more work-life balance while you're working.
You're a treat.
But at the same time, I was good at what I did. Right? Like I worked there for 25 years, and
Holy.
you know, it's
Whoa.
I enjoyed it up until a point, but then this happened. I was like, okay, I've got a mortgage, I've got children, I've got responsibility, I got real life shit going on.
Right.
How
Being a
can
human.
I go from this industry, find something else that's going to bring more joy and direction in my life and allow me to be the person I want to be more so, while still not fucking up all that other shit.
right.
Right? Like I got to still have obligation that I have to meet to, right? And then weed became legal.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now I've got a landing spot because I had no fucking idea what else I wanted to do. I mean, that's how I ended up on Bay Street,
right.
right? Like I was
So you just
lost
chased
and
money.
wayward.
You didn't know what to do, so you just chased money. Basically.
There was a part of the stock market that I loved, and the organic nature of how the stock market interacted with everything else in the world. It was a beautiful problem to solve. It was awareness on terms of understanding the economic effects, the sociological effects, the political effects. If someone sneezed in a factory and all of a sudden all these chips are gone, like yeah, that's one thing. But also, if there is, there's flooding going on in India, that's going to have another ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
It's
On the Dow, is that what it's called?
Because the factories, right? The factories that make the shit, they're going to have to slow down production, which will slow down the sales of them, which will determine the marketplace fit cost of them, yeah?
Yeah, and it's a way of determining opportunity.
Right.
Like you want to find an opportunity where no one else is finding an opportunity, and then the potential to be successful in terms of doing right by your clients is a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
But after that point, I mean, that's what kind of kept me there in terms of like, it was challenging. Mentally, it was a challenge.
So would you, I just want to we'll leave your old life in a minute, but I'm just curious because like what we are fascinated kind of about like money and investment as a term or just like as a function that humans do. Would you did you work for like a firm that would like manage a portfolio? Like you give us this much and we guarantee this much growth by this time? Like 5% at the end of the year kind of thing, or what's going on?
I mean, yes and no. I worked for brokers that would put together their own portfolios. So they were doing things outside of the box thinking, a lot of them. They're very entrepreneurship. In the 90s when I started, it was still very much a Wild West cowboy, lack of bank compliance.
Felt like it.
Where you didn't need to show 12 pages of proof. The proof is that you've been doing this and you've been following shit every day. That just their attention to detail to things.
Yes.
Like
that's my expectation now. As like an artist in the weed business, I'm like, yeah, you don't fucking see me out here in these streets. And they're like, yeah, but what? And I love that. So it's like, that's fucking cool. So you evolved into doing your clients well.
Right. And I mean, part of it taught me how important attention to detail is. In anything you do, the more you put into something, the better it's going to be.
Yeah.
And whether it's for your own personal enjoyment, interacting with others, life experience. I mean, the more work we put in ourselves, it really comes down to we're elevating the experience of interacting with someone else because we're more in the moment, and the more we can pull someone else in the moment, just cosmically, they're going to be better for it, whether you know it or not.
I love that, dude. Yes.
Let me ask you this, Mo.
I love that, dude.
Off screen, I wasted hot chicken broth, and I was frustrated about it because I was pouring it, and it was pouring everywhere. Do you think, had I been more present in that moment and more aware in that moment, I would have had the wherewithal not to do what I did and create sort of this chaos for myself?
It's potentially, yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I know, it's always potential.
It's all the steps that you would have put in before. I mean, I would have put the jar in the sink and then poured slowly with two hands, making sure. But what you've been through, I've been through. It happens to me every night when I'm doing like making dinner or for the kids, and I'm not 100% present.
Right.
Right. Like I'm trying to have conversation, which you were trying to do, and be part of what everything else was going on.
Yeah.
That you were in the moment, but you weren't directing all that energy
in that
there.
Moment.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like Winnie's more growing into like a type, like her own, like leading her own vision. And there's a lot of people I observe like Winnie because I am an A-type myself, so I attract a lot of strong Bs. And it's like accidentally they'll abandon their own activity to listen and give their life force over to somebody else. And that's why I'm always like concerned of like what leaders are we choosing? Because I know not everyone's an A. I know if there's a stronger A than me, I'll listen on purpose.
Right.
Like I see also focused, strong people, and I'm like, great. Like I'll buy into your reality too, but I'll always somewhere drive it back to mine. And you're a very giving person with your time. I don't know where you consider yourself on passive A, leading A, leading B, passive B, or whatever, or if you even think that shit applies to people. How do you make sure that you're giving your own I guess
battery.
I could call it battery, or just your own drive, your own desire, your own focus, your own reality, your own priorities. How do you make sure you're being very, very kind with other people, because you are you're right there present, and I love that. But like this just sparked a wonderful contradictory thing of how much giving is too much giving, and when should you be a little selfish and say like shut the fuck up or stop, you know, and pour the broth. Like, you know, we have our own company culture now. The analogy of shut the fuck up and pour the broth.
But that's where continuous work is needed. Like that's part of the
So
journey,
you're
right?
just a fucking good dad where you keep saying keep
No,
on going.
it's sometimes there's moments where I'm just like, fuck, I messed that shit up. Right? I said the wrong thing, or I didn't react the way I should have. And being an A type in that sense, I became more of a C type where I was just like listening and I didn't react, and I didn't pick up on the energy and the idealisms to follow through on what potentially could have been something. And then the slight little spark of regret pops in the head, and I'm just like, yeah, but like,
Dude, there's C types. There's D type. Oh my God.
There's all sorts
I've
of
only
types.
considered it the top.
I don't know.
two.
I'm just making that shit up.
No, I love that because you're actually right. I found the contradictory energy in my own assessment of you being one or the other. I'm like, no, this guy exists somewhere else. Like I was saying, we are media for the cannabis industry. We're like the sky. Like you're not even playing
Thank you.
the game, it seems like, which is so good. So I'm going to curve right into this hard question unless you had anything else to ask.
I'm going to go back though. So
Okay, let me just move from where we went here. Mm-hmm. How do you not take rejection personally?
Like with business.
Professionally or personally, across the board, because I find who you are in one place is who you are everywhere. Like, I know maybe that's not true for some people, but I try and hold authenticity through all my relationships, and like I'm the same person. I think the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So whether it's rejection personally or professionally, how do you not take it personally?
I like the idea of relationship building, right?
Ooh.
Where you're not just in it for a moment, but everything is gonna, if you do it in a way that connects, it's a way of being able to create more, right? If it's always a building block, and sometimes you're going to be like, well, that piece doesn't fit, I'm going to go back and put in something else. And that's the rejection level, where it's like, well, if I can't insert what I want in there, and if you're collaborating with someone and we put their idea in there, is it going to be as good? I mean, because we all believe in ourselves and love ourselves, the answer is always no. But the ability to, for lack of a better word, compromise, but it's really, you're also trying to say, like, it's a bit of ego then at that point where it's like, I know your shit's going to fail. We're going to watch it fail, and then we're going to go with it. And then the next time comes around, we're going to be like, we're going to have that same discussion, and we're going to go with my route.
Yo!
So let that life experience unfold. If it's not something too large or too damning, then yeah, absolutely. I will go, and maybe I'm wrong.
So you can let that run its course without worrying about it.
I'll be cognizant and aware and paying attention to the mechanisms of everything.
Yeah.
And at the same time, concurrently running in my head, well, if we were doing it this way, how would it be growing? Would it be growing better? Would it be growing worse? Or just the same? Like, it didn't really make a difference which one we went with.
And that approach works for me personally too. Like if you have a disagreement, whether like with a friend, a mate, a family member, let's go one way. Okay, let's try that if you're so certain. Yeah. I'm going to pay attention to the mechanisms. It's going to like either serve or not serve.
It's life experience at the end of the day.
But then you're good at letting it run its course while keeping that awareness in yourself and not sabotaging or reacting to that. Like not sabotaging that reaction by, like, I've had reactions where brands have said no, and I'm like, well, I'm done with them. I'll never talk to them. And when it's
hear no so many times a day.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, it's the worst word in the world.
I've been auditioning since I was 16.
Yeah,
you think
exactly.
I'd be much better with a thick skin, but like, I think maybe in points
where... Do you take it personally, though, when they say no?
Bro, I take everything personally. I gotta say, I'm really.
That's good to know.
I'm really we work so well
it is
because
good to know. Actually, he should start with that.
I should start with that.
My name is Ellevan. I take everything personally.
No, and it's bro. If I could turn it off like a light switch right now, I would. It's basically walking around with your pain body open, like.
Okay, but that's for sure an album.
I take everything personally. Fuck you. Hi, I'm Ellevan. I take everything personally. Fuck you. And I think
or just take everything personally.
Take everything personally. And that's the thing, right? Like
but that's hardcore hip hop.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like there's no part of me that feels ashamed or wrong about that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, well, and this is what I said, I've had experience over the past week, and I said to my friends, everything that makes me a great MC, a great MC, is what makes me a fucking nutcase to deal with as like a person. Like I can zone in so emotionally, so fast, and like create like rhythmic bars about something that resonates. I never heard it before because I'm basically receiving the information at an overwhelmingly rate and attaching an emotional context to that. So
It's your vibration of life, dude.
And I love it. And I draw it in focus, assume, and my assumes turn to judgment though as a person. When I'm assuming in my craft and moving this, no one cares if the cat who jumps off the roof in the rap I assumed was depressed. Nobody cares in that song. But as a person, when I calculate so quick and make a judgment on a situation, the gift here is a curse here. So that's where I end up. I'm like, that brand just doubts me having numbers. No, show the brand your metrics and they'll know you have numbers. Like, I get so up in arms. Like, it's insane. So this was like, you don't even know what an angel you've been serving in my life just by our brief interactions.
Dude.
Because you got the juice, bro.
It's also up to the person you are dealing with to recognize. I mean, we all have all those full range of emotions, and we're going to display them at any point, all matter in how you evoke and what you want to pull out.
Yeah.
And I mean, and this is where the work comes in, not only on myself, but how I want to interact with other people, is that I want to pull out and, I mean, in a sense, challenge you to be better.
Yeah, dude!
But to grow. But I want to see that beautiful, I want to see the kind energy. I want to see the smart energy. I want to see the problem-solving energy. I want to see the one and desire to be more.
Be better.
Even though you're not going to be that person in the top of like where your ultimate goal is, every moment that you're able to kind of crawl and drag yourself through that hot ass desert that's grueling and gonna try and knock you down at every point because you're trying to be more. It's not easy work. That in essence is how hard it is.
That's life. It's hard.
Nailed
sometimes.
it.
And that's it, bro. And that's
because it's also really great sometimes.
It's great.
Like it's just we live in polarity. So like if it's hard sometimes, it's also really great sometimes. And none of us be complaining about the great times.
But if you can make that journey better for me and easier for me, and you can make that journey better and easier for me,
totally.
and I can do likewise, all of a sudden you're not dragging yourself through desert, you're walking casually, smoking a joint with good friends.
Yeah.
And it just becomes,
and it gives
it's
energy rather than drains
it's
energy.
So you have a good core understanding that life is about serving, not receiving. It seems your theories would lead me to believe.
It's dual faceted.
It's so actually, that's even better. It's one step higher where you're not cutting yourself off from receiving. You're giving in the nature, because also expectation can be the fucking devil too.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to give from like a serving place of like true love, like honestly give without expectation and just like live in your joy. But you're right, it's dual faceted in the way you hope and look for some sort of reciprocation as a relationship building block almost.
It's if I can put out the purest energy possible, one that speaks to me about how present and in the moment I am, which is self-serving because that is what I'm trying to achieve. But at the same time, I'm trying to achieve that because if I see that you're not in the moment as much as I am, I'm going to try help bring you up by just sharing my energy with you, and you just being by the desire to be in the moment, you're going to put out just as beautiful energy as I am.
You trust the reflection.
100%.
That's absolutely beautiful. Trust, man. It so much breaks down to trust and faith.
Oh, it's I also trust that like any negative energy that I'm going to encounter during the day, I have the ability, just like with good energy, to take it, recycle it, and turn it into positive energy in my own self. Take that life experience. If there's nothing in it to take, then just leave it behind, but have nothing drag you.
Jesus, you just said leave it behind. No, Awesome.
What?
Look at this fucking bud. Like, it's so sticky. I'll say Rocket Factory. It's like, this one's a Gelato OG Kush. Also, Liquid Imagination is disrespectfully sticky. Shout out, Scott. Sorry.
Shout out. Beautiful.
We'll get more into that too.
Yeah, we will get more into that. But you just said something brilliant that was leave it behind.
Absolutely.
All right, like, start the 4-hour lecture on that now, because leave it behind. Can the world just leave all the war they digest and see on the news behind? How the fuck can we leave? When you think you know, it hits your reality so hard that I find it very difficult to just leave it behind and let it go sometimes.
100%. And that is, I mean, really where the work comes in. And it's like you're going like to leave it behind. That means that's trauma you got to work through. That is just disappointment that you got to work through. Like all your own shit. You got to like suddenly realize, why is that shit so important? Why is that so much part of me when really it's taken away from the energy and what I'm trying to achieve?
You
right?
can feel your energy
So if
drop.
for anything, I'm not working through my own trauma. Some stuff I don't even work through. Like I'm going to carry it forward where it's, even though it's not a positive in my life, it's life experience. And it helps me also understand why I am in a certain way and want to be more.
I want to be more is the key caveat to that. You're right. Because I'm there too. I accept a couple limiting things about myself that I know I got to work deeper on to find out when I adapted to that belief. Mm-hmm. Right? Like challenge why we're holding these beliefs. But you're right. It's like, okay, annoying baggage. You're one of the last ones, you know, like I'm going to keep this bag on this fucking journey. It's like, but you realize you're paying for that overhead storage space. When he has a joke about this, that extra baggage you bring, you can't go with the e-com ticket. It's going to cost you. And in fact, it's one more pack. The more baggage you have, the more it's going to cost you. I feel like for that trip, your next trip. I love that you always use that term. Trip. It's like literally there's an analogy there with baggage. It's like,
but like psychedelic experiences. Yeah. I mean, looking back now, in my first kind of couple years doing psychedelics, whether it was acid or mushrooms, and the trips weren't always kind. There were moments of like, I would rather be dead than going through the pain and suffering that is like mentally like bending me in a way where I'm just not flexible.
Oh my God.
Right.
And
beautifully said.
Well said.
And I wouldn't want to trade those trips though for anything.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, in there, it's giving you an objective, right? But it doesn't tell you in terms of expectation, oh, you're going to be able to achieve that objective the moment you come down, you smoke a joint, and boom, it's all going to be there. No, it's telling you if you suddenly put in all this work and effort into being more and taking care of the shit that you just bent through, the stuff that just made you want to like die.
Yeah.
Get rid of that shit. That's where you start. That's your first step is to go through and start to heal yourself. Right? And the moment you can start getting the interaction with that part of your mind, then you realize, holy fuck, that's worth the effort.
Yeah.
I'm suddenly...
It's worth the effort. You can feel your own vibration raise by taking responsibility for your own shit. You reach out, you try to blame, you try to control, and then as soon as you point the barrel at yourself, you're like, that's extremely uncomfortable. And then you're like, oh, but I actually feel better. Like my actual vibration can raise once you go over that bridge of blaming yourself.
Right.
And then instead of like waiting around in your rightness for someone else to fucking treat you different.
Right.
Like we humans get stuck in this little like cycle of like observing, self-victimizing, implication of other people's behaviors on us. Winnie has this really great analogy called the spider on the story. A fan told her, you're going to have to fucking warn people if you put a spider on the story. It's like, there's a consensus that spiders shouldn't cause anxiety panic attacks, and maybe you need less Instagram time.
Not for me. They freak me out, man.
So you don't...
you see a picture of them on the story? Like, is it like that, where you're like, oh, God, I wasn't expecting
even the word spider, all of a sudden I'm just like, I'm hyper aware. Like, where?
Fuck.
Where? Like,
so maybe fucking be a little more sensitive to people then too.
No, but that's comedy. I
knows?
feel is where you're pulling emotions that people don't really connect with, and you're giving them a way to identify with them better.
That's comedy. When he was
Right,
just
like,
saying, "Look how cool these
It's not
spiders
just
are."
sunshine. It's got to be gritty, dirty. I mean, Robin Williams, man.
Yeah, fuck.
Hey.
Good.
Wow.
So let's just briefly go back.
Yeah.
Great combo so far.
Yeah, dude, you
No,
are
absolutely.
nailing every fucking direction.
No, you guys are
you're-
awesome.
It's 2013, end of April. You've had this experience.
yeah.
You
Yes.
decide that you want to make a change.
Yes.
What did your healing look like? Because I don't know if we didn't wrap that up. We don't know how you got out of
Yeah.
Oh.
How did the transition happen? I want to.
It just stopped.
It just stopped.
I didn't
eh?
have to go like they were gonna put a bag in me, and like it was just gonna be
That's
like
pretty crazy.
it was gonna be meatball surgery. Like
energy.
literally, their plan was to
energy.
like cut out a part and then put a bag in, and then in
Meatball
6
surgery.
Are you
months.
telling me? Did you have this? Did you have a revelation before it stopped or after it stopped?
During.
While it was going on, my only cognizant thought was being present. Like the reflection happened after, absolutely. Where it was just like being the person I want to be on an energy level.
Yeah.
One wasn't achievable working in a bank environment because I have to conform for 8 hours a day, which is
Conform.
you're just
You wear a suit?
oh yeah, man, I look good.
You smoke weed?
I bet you
Yeah.
look good.
Oh, dude,
Is your hair shorter?
The hair was shorter,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a stat.
That's been a post bank thing for sure.
I like it.
It's but I had the beard, but it was more trim.
Yeah.
So you the physical conditions, which were perhaps a reflection of your energy, telling you, "Hey, fucking change your ways."
Yeah.
That happened. You got the scare. You went. Did you go back into the office? Are we talking about a Jerry Maguire quit scene?
No, because I had all that responsibility. I
Right.
couldn't just say, "Fuck it, I'm going on tour.
New
I'm going
babies,
to follow fish,
yeah.
and that'll bring me joy,
You had a
and that'll
family.
bring me an ability to like see God every night and dance with God and whoever God is." But it was just like to find the happiest place possibly achievable at that moment in time for me is at a fish show. Whether I'm on psychedelics, where I'm not, their ability to be such in the moment as human beings allows me that same cause. And like to be able to go there and then walk away and be like, okay, now I'm in regular life. There's not fucking crazy firework lights going on for 3 hours. There's not this sound that is just, for me, it's the sound of life. Right? Like those sound waves that come across, it just elevates and it brings perspective because they're creating. They're not just playing off a song sheet, the exact same song that they played last night. They are creating new music as they go.
Yeah.
Bro, that's exactly what I do. I
That's
fucking
so
love
to be
that.
in the moment when you perform.
I've realized this moment when I performed in Indonesia across these we did a tour at these like resorts, and there were people from all over the world. There's this couple like laughing. We're in like Ibut or something, and like it was like people from all around the world. This Italian couple, they were from Italy. They speak no English, and they were loving it, cracking up, laughing. And I didn't know until I tried to talk to them after, because I go around and I appreciate for everyone being like a part of the show, and they're like, they couldn't speak back to me in English. And I'm like, but you guys were like having a good time. And it's like, it's just because they watch me fucking find the moment. That's what I realized. And like fish are
There's
fucking
an energy
masterful.
to that, man.
And then add the more band, the more time they've played together. And the fact that they're so zoned in, connecting with souls, going through that experience as you are finding, like, that's just so powerful. How many fish shows you been to?
Probably in the 80s somewhere. I'd say high 80s. I haven't like. There's a whole.
I don't know if I've been to 80 shows, period. Let alone of one band.
It's a passion, but also, I mean, when I first started going to concerts in the 90s, everything was $25 or less.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, you wanted to go see the biggest name. You want to go see Michael Jackson? That was $15. He purposely lowered his ticket prices.
Wow.
Right? Like so to go see the Grateful Dead. Oh, I'm gonna pick up and go this weekend for $20 extra plus like a $50 shitty hotel room and gas. Let's go do that.
No-brainer.
The idea of roaming, I mean, it now that still exists, of course.
Yeah.
But it's
It used to be 150. Now it's 1,500.
That's the thing.
It can be, yeah. For sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
If you don't want to stay in the shitty hotel,
Even when you do, it's a little...
It's just bad hotels are just the worst. At this point where I need a little level of cleanliness.
that's what I'm saying. Like now, we talked about that. Where like me and Win on tour now, it's like, thank God we didn't blow up when we were in our 20s because we would have been on tour thugging it out in shitty hotel rooms. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need the pool and the buffet and the nice shit. You know, we did find a nice Days Inn in New Brunswick though that had a fucking killer free breakfast.
They had just renovated because it used to be like the worst.
It used to be like
now it wasn't
our buddy
anymore.
Basement Groucho was like, yeah, my buddy used to fuck girls in this hotel at like hourly, I think, but they renovated.
They renovated and got a all you can eat breakfast. Excuse me.
So good. Yo, Mo, do you ever feel threatened?
Oh, maybe occasionally now, but I mean, growing up, I mean, that's part of anxiety, I think.
Yeah, it's 111. Yeah, do you think that it's possible to just decide not to feel threatened? Or like, do you work through it? Do you like when you felt it? Like, what was the process of that? Just because I feel like a lot of people turning to reactivity, and we get in our own heads about our own thoughts about like how our opponent sees us or whatever, and we point out our own weaknesses. When we feel threatened, it can send us into a whole spiral about ourselves.
Right.
So sorry, what's your thought?
It takes so much work to hold back what you're like, put that filter in.
Yeah.
Right?
Hold back what you're feeling.
That reactive quality.
Yeah.
And to stay in the moment, because that reactivity is then being like, well, if we do this, then that's going to happen. And you're immediately being pulled into the future.
A future
right?
that's not even the future. It's your anxiety's future.
Right.
And then you react to that from 100 yards away.
Yeah. And it's like, so you're creating this whole false scenario potentially that's driving that anxiety when really it's like, well, if you take it moment to moment, at any point you can just hit stop.
Yeah.
You know, and you can say like, no, this isn't a good idea. Let's like, what the fuck? Like this is now making me anxious doing it. And that is just making a conscious decision to not do it.
Yeah.
Right. And to feel not to feel that those emotions that go into it, same thing though. It's a conscious decision.
It's tough. It's a decision, but you got to find something else to do. Here's the thing I learned about law of attraction manifestation. What you focus on expands. So you need to change gears. There is no saying, I'm not going to focus on weed. Okay, I'm going to sit here and not think about weed. Don't think about weed. Don't. All the universe hears is weed, 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 weed. Don't think about marijuana. Don't think about weed. Don't think about cannabis. All the universe heard is cannabis, marijuana. You want to take it? Take it and put it on, and we'll talk to him. No, we should.
It kept on, I was making sure it wasn't my
Is it
kids
unknown?
because it kept on ringing.
Is it an unknown? Just for outside?
No, it was a name I did not recognize. I was making sure it was my children.
That's good. What a good dad.
Sorry.
No, don't be. Never.
A bit of life buzzing in the pocket.
Float.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's all good.
I can't remember where my closure was on that statement, but
It's so. I mean, if I start feeling that anxiety creep in or that regression to something else, I feel like my awareness kicks in and says, you're being sucked out of where you want to be. Like either fall into a beautiful breathing pattern, which usually kind of aligns and helps me identify what part of me is being reactive and like not kind of staying where I would like it to stay. Right, in a perfect kind of happy existence. Yeah. Like, dude, what's going on? You're being very undude-like.
Yeah, dude,
right?
No, you're not being a dude, man.
Usually that works, absolutely. Who doesn't react in a positive way to something like that? Especially yourself.
You need that voice in your own head to call yourself out a bit in a kind, friendly, cheery way.
Yeah.
That's still stern. That's like, yo, dude, don't be not the dude, man.
Don't yell at other people, but also don't yell at yourself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like it's the same cringy moment, and that's anxiety driving in itself by creating that circular.
Mo, who am I gonna yell at though? Because someone's getting yelled at.
Okay, but that's what he.
That's
exactly,
for later.
That's it. No,
I don't know.
That's exactly what you're saying though. Like there was a moment where I burnt myself, where I could have taken space, and instead I came over to this carpet here and just laid my head down on the floor.
No, but I love how you take child's pose.
I love that.
The fact that you're like, I know that I'm going to be immediately centered and balanced the quickest way in child's pose.
I'm a yoga teacher, and I didn't even realize that's what I was doing.
So
exactly. So when I was in therapy, something that really has worked for me I started getting panic attacks in my mid-20s. It only happened like 4 times, but it was like pretty debilitating.
Yeah.
And there was something called the 5-5-5 rule but the first thing is that you have to admit to yourself what's happening. I think that's where I went wrong with my depression.
Put the hardest step first.
I was like, I don't want it. And the more I was like, don't look at it. It's not coming. It's not coming. The more I was powerless when I was now too far deep to sort of talk myself up out of it.
Yeah.
So the 5-5-5 rule is see 5 things, feel 5 things, breathe or hear 5 things, or smell or hear 5 things, depending on what is around you. But the see and feel are really good because you can take immediately you can be like, I feel dumb, or whatever shame is happening, or whatever reactivity, anger, anything like that. And if you're aware of it, you can be like, okay, I'm just going to describe this piece of art that's right in front of me. It's black, it's rectangular, and then immediately go to feeling. So I'm just going to feel my pants. I'm going to describe to myself what this feels like.
Can I feel your pants?
The idea. Whoa. I
was being too dirty, bro.
We're having a moment here, man.
Sorry, man.
The idea is that it brings you back into the present moment.
Yes.
And this has literally saved me from panic attacks a handful of times. It's not like I'm doing it all the time. A handful of times when I've been by myself out in public. I can feel it coming on. I can feel the tears starting. I can feel this like extreme burst about to happen. Mm-hmm. And I start feeling, seeing, hearing, touching,
Yeah.
And it's super, it was such a great tool to have in my toolbox.
So the way you're describing it almost feels like, and I'm going to get really kind of interdimensional here.
Sick.
Is that your own space-time continuum gets disrupted, and because you're getting pulled out of reality, and that's a certain pace of time, like that's the reality that we have to stay pace with. You get pulled out of that and more into what's going on in your head, and that's a beautiful way to then now pull yourself back from like that other space-time continuum that's going on. And it's not in balance, so it's not flowing. You're getting like that velocity of that's going faster than time, but you can't speed up time to catch up. So you have to figure out how to slow that down to come back to be more part of the physical reality.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. We all have those, we have the ability to distort time. I mean, there's a way to do it in a positive way. But there's also when shit goes wrong and the uglies come out, it's disrupting it's moving at a different pace, i.e. the moment. Like if everything's moving at like second to second, we can't change the pace of all this, right? But we can change our perception of it and be affected by if something's moving faster or at a different pace. Don't know if it's slower or faster. How do you keep it aligned with this? Mm-hmm. But then the whole idea is to take it the next step. How do you alter your perception of what speed that this reality is moving to make it slower? I don't know how many people want to make it faster. You don't want life to go quicker. You want it to always go.
True.
Like the more slow it goes, the more you're going to enjoy it. Because generally that's hand in hand. If you figured out that one side, happiness and fun is usually like the driver to that, because like how can I have more fun?
Yeah.
Slow down time.
Yeah.
Right? But to be able to, being pulled in your head in a negative sense in that, where all of a sudden you're not the one who's trying to figure out how to distort time, but part of yourself is
my system is
stepping out. It's like
cheating me.
Yeah. I mean, you got to explain to it that it works better when everything's aligned.
Yeah.
And you just get more out of it, right? Like that's a conversation you need to have with that. Is that you can spend your time doing that, or we could do something really better.
You got to explain to it that everything works better when it's aligned. That's it. That's the end of the conversation.
Easy conversation.
That's all we need.
I'm trying to see how we can fit that as the title. Like, because that's ultimately what it is. Like, you have this ultimate selflessness that's not necessarily an ode to another human being, but an ode to the one consciousness that connects us all, that just kind of can give you, as a conscious point of being, a nicer reality. It just sounds like wisdom. You're just living in wisdom.
Right.
Do you have dialogue in your head, or is this a feeling state that happens when you're explaining it to them that everything works better when things are
I mean, my head is usually peaceful and still.
Okay.
But
You've made it.
in terms of, well, no, but I mean, harking
practice.
back to the Crohn's, and this probably like what taught me that you can have those conversations, is even though it's doing its own thing, how do I now get the quality of my life up to function as someone who doesn't have that specific
Skill.
thing going on? Yeah. But to be able to focus and be in the moment while still having something that's tremendously distracting.
Yeah.
Right? And how do I keep on pushing it further and further, not only into the darkness, but creating light out of it?
Yeah.
Because the darkness I can't change, and I don't have that ability, but having the wherewithal and understanding that it's there and it's going to provide certain limitations. So what am I going to do to compensate to be full? Like, that's where I'm going to put, instead of conquering the really heavy shit, I'm going to build on strengths that are going to allow me to have it ripple out in a way that is non-effective, right? Like, it's still going to be there, but the ripple effect to it, instead of being out here, is always minimal or not at all. And the moment I see one little ripple, it's easily identifiable.
Yeah.
And the moment you make that connection, that part of you isn't a positive thing that's going to, or it's something that's going to initiate positivity out of you, then just like anything, like you're going to take care of that shit.
Yeah. And you have to do it a couple times to prove to yourself that it's worth it.
Oh,
And,
like
and that
thousands
takes
of times.
mental energy, I think. That's where I sometimes I feel like I've held space for myself to not react out loud, at least.
Right.
I'm still reacting in my mind, but I'm not reacting out loud to the public. And it feels kind of foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when we feel foreign things, we kind of connect that to like negative, like
New.
yeah,
Unfamiliar.
Yeah,
The fear
unfamiliar.
of something that you're not familiar with.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so to like hold it in my body and like know that I'm reacting inside my head, but at least I'm not reacting outwardly to the world. Like that was really uncomfortable. And like not telling anyone, not even Ellevan, when I was wronged in the bicycle lane on the street. I don't know why I'm doing
That's
this air
harsh.
quotes.
No, but it's
Not
harsh.
telling anyone about it felt really uncomfortable until then it didn't.
Because you
Until
want to
I
see.
left it behind.
You want to feel seen.
Yeah.
Like, we just want to feel seen. It has to do with our primal nature of survival. If you were part of a village and there was a disagreement one-on-one in like the everyman's land between your villages, and you started a beef with someone and that caused a war between your villages, seriously, I'm saying all this shit's in our DNA. Like, we lived this way longer on Earth before the metropolises we have now.
Right.
You had to go explain to your village why they should get your back.
Right.
So when we're not sure if we're right, when we're not feel seen, there's literally a primal fear.
Or when we've felt wrong.
When we felt wronged, right. And like, we don't feel like, I feel like there's a moral compass affirmed by having your almost victim mentality being affirmed.
But you said it there, is that it's the confidence you have. Do you have the confidence to believe that you're doing the right thing, even if it's the wrong thing in the moment? But it was still the right thing, but someone else's perception that it wasn't.
Yeah.
So do you have the confidence to continuously believe that your actions are you as a human being. Are you going to do positive things or negative things?
Are you checking in with your moral compass? And do you know for you if what's true and what's not? Because everyone has their own truth, and we're all clashing all the time. Not my truth can't be true for everyone.
Well, you're a different person. I also have this
but you act from kindness.
I hope so.
Like you make that cognitive decision as like, I think maybe the first thing in your thought process is I can be nice and kind, or I can be a douche.
Well, I mean,
right?
that's very aware.
Yeah,
if you're walking around
mean or evil.
If you're realizing what implications your behavior are going to have on other people or how they may be perceived, you're existing as a 1% of people.
Right.
Like we don't understand how because I think so much being offended is so unintentional. I think it has nothing to do with somebody's intention, but their behavior makes that person feel that way, and then you know what I mean? It's just
what if we restructured the question, if you're going to be kind, either you're going to be kind or you're going to be a douche, is just like, what is the kindest thing I can do right now in this moment?
Is kind.
Love that.
What if that was the question all the time?
For sure.
Where we left douche out of it.
Right.
And just like,
Don't
what
attack
is
ourselves.
the kindest thing? And if we can actually be honest with ourselves and tune in, I think we'd probably I think we're moving. We're at such a fast pace all the time, especially in a city. It makes sense that people are reactive, because it's like, I am at the center of my universe, and like you just inconvenienced me, and like why wouldn't I not be reactive to that? Because I'm moving 10,000 miles a minute. So you're right. This idea of slowing down. How do we slow down?
Right.
Have fun. Adults forget to have fun. This is the first year in my adult life, I'm 36, that I've really felt a challenge to be optimistic.
Ooh.
And I love optimism. And I felt it in my being. I'm like, I feel like that thing that they say about like life wearing you down, I feel like I've let that happen to me this year a bit.
Wow.
And since I've become aware of it, I've felt like I've gotten more on the path of that again. But just like,
good for you.
Adults don't choose joy first.
Is it not like, I mean, for me, I used to put others before me a lot more than I would put myself. Like I was the last person in that. So that meant that, is my happiness the most important thing, or are other people's happiness the most important thing? And I mean, the answer is really both, if those people mean a lot to you, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, why aren't both achievable? I was just making an excuse for myself by saying, I'm going to put these people ahead of me, but I'm not going to put my happiness there. But how do I bring the happiness then and make it part of, in line with everything else?
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing something for everybody else, I also have to make sure that part of that collective is happiness is involved.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it for the right reasons, and being selfish also for the right reasons for me, because I want to be happy.
You got to give the best version of yourself. How are you going to feel good enough to be good enough to give to people unless you give to yourself?
Absolutely.
You got to fill your cup.
Do you think that there were boundaries created when you decided to put, your happiness up with putting other people's?
It's people are big on sacrifice, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a mantra to most Western civilization religions. There's a lot of sacrifice involved. But absolutely. I mean, it's compromise, sacrifice, compromise, same word at the end of the day.
Wow.
I mean, all depending how you want to interpret that word, right?
I feel like compromise implies an exchange. But
but to get to the same place, for the people that decide to build their own path to get there, and it has the ability to be stronger than what organized religions can do, because it's one ideology. You as a person, you're going to incorporate who you want to be. And not saying that you don't bring in, but from what I know about you, you incorporate other art, other ideas, other thoughts, and other philosophies where it's a little bit of everything. You're building your own path and you're making yourself be the person who you want it to be, opposed to trying to make yourself fit into a systematic idealism.
Beautiful.
Love that.
Sometimes I feel like I don't look at what I sacrifice, or I don't accept that I have sacrificed it, or I don't feel like I'm worth feeling sad about the sacrifice I've made, because I've decided to chase my dreams as like a career. And I feel like there's like a selfish aspect to that. And sometimes that doesn't allow me to prioritize things. And I don't feel I've also given myself any opportunity to like grieve sacrifices I've made, or even acknowledge them.
Are you chasing passion though? Like part of being who you want to be is like part of your passion.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's the thing a lot of people who switch to entrepreneurialism forget to account for. Like my bank account's going like this, but your fucking life force is going like this.
I agree. I can feel that.
At first, but then if you get good enough, if being yourself is a passion, and you know you have to sustain in this world as a human being and pay bills, incorporating your heart into your business will inevitably be along the path of like following that joy, I think. And it's just like, do you take the challenges along the way and the actions to learn how to fortify and structure the business so it benefits you and your business partners equally or more, right? But that's fucking took years.
We all rise together, right?
Yeah, you know, you
absolutely.
Okay, this
I
is
always
a great
aim for
segue.
200% value.
This is awesome. We all rise together.
400%.
This is cool because you are are you territory manager or what?
I'm
that part.
All
the
of it.
guys doing sales right now for
Sales.
Rocket Factory.
But
are
part of
me.
it is
I'm the only guy, and there's Randy who's doing
Shout out
really
Randy.
helping out. Yeah, Randy.
shout out Randy. And
Love you, man.
part of your
Such
intro
a
was
stud.
your culture
Yes,
at Rocket Factory.
it's the good fucking people. Like, I mean, at this point in my life,
They see it, they get it.
they see it, they get it, they live it. It's who they want to be. Sorry, I'm leaning back. It's who they want to be, and they're not. They're putting happy in that whole conversation. I want to be successful, creating a company, growing weed, creating a brand, and trying to connect with people. But at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure that there's a level of happy, there's a level of, these are all the extras. There's a level of community.
Fulfillment, vibes.
Just like good people, man.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and at this point, I don't want to work with people that aren't good people. You can't get anything else in a positive way if you're working with people that, in that conscious decision, can I be kind and nice, or the exact opposite? They're choosing, even if it takes more effort, I'm going to be kind and nice.
Yeah, it does
Right?
take more effort.
For a while,
It's
when you're
attention to
building-
detail. It's extra attention to detail.
It's a while before you build the natural habit, but
Yeah.
it's still a cognitive choice to pressure yourself of how can I be even better. I think for me, the new is the better. It's not one point you get to, and it's like you're good. It's like every day better. Like
It's the
kinder than you were.
continuous growth. It's part of the
Like
journey.
give more. Find out a way to give more. Like expand your capacity. Right? Like constantly I love the perspective I found on community building, which is like be a humble servant. That's the way you be the best king. Of your kingdom is to be a humble servant.
Yeah.
And like think from the highest point to the lowest point in the kingdom.
Right.
Whether it's your inside, your friends, your business, whatever it may be, dial in from the floor up. Right? It's like I feel the ego will try and be like, I'm too good for that. It's like,
Yeah, but then and it also gets into the topic of altruism, like if you're only a servant.
You don't want to, but here's the thing, you're serving in the kingdom that you chose. Like he was saying, like
So
your
if
authentic
passion
self.
is your
Like
guide.
if I was at a job serving like a humble thing, I'd kill myself for sure, or someone else. I'd kill other people, several of them first, then get caught, and then be like, I don't want to go to trial and kill myself. That's how it'd go if I had a job. If I was on Bay Street for 1 year, that's how I'd go. and I don't know. Anyway,
I'm glad that
It's a
didn't
trip,
happen
man.
for
No,
you.
it's a full mind bending. Like having
Yeah.
been on a lot of psychedelics as I started working in the banking industry, it was just a trip, man. It was
Man.
a long trip and drawn out, with good and positive things about it. And the moment that I was able to come down off that drug,
Yeah.
and find a better drug,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a different light and energy, right? Like I spent a lot of time in like my 20s and 30s really taking extra energy that wasn't who I wanted to be and converting it into something I wanted. That was a lot of time and effort.
Yes.
And the better quality people you surround yourself with, the less time you have to spend putting
Right,
work
right,
into
right.
that.
And that's
because
what I'm saying. Then you serve like a servant there, because it's nothing for you to do. If you want to do a store visit, you want to do an event, you want to cook something up, you just want to smoke weed, like it's all in your heart. Same with me. It's like, what the fuck? I'm going to work all night and exhaust myself on a canna cover, mixing wrap and cannabis. I will, until I have nothing left, I will work on this. Like, I'll edit this podcast into the wee hours of the morning.
Light out already?
And I'm just like, oh, I don't care. I'll give this everything I have. And then it actually gives me more energy somehow. Because I get psyched when I walk into a store and someone says, love the last episode. And I'm like, I'm going to go do more right now. Like, thank you. Like, the way I feel to fans is like, thank you. Like, I just want to make good shit. So I feel it's like you made the same into, like, weed. You're like, it's changed my life. It's such a positive impact. The more I talk about this miracle plant, the more it's going to heal people and help people. And you're a light soldier, if you ask me, man. You're, like, out here being a disciplined stoner.
Yeah.
Fucking pulling up in an Audi saying I smoke weed. You don't know the impact, bro. You don't know the impact on a certain demographic. Maybe you do, actually. But, like, it's important.
Yeah.
Winnie's parents.
Do you have any? My mom texted me the other day. She's like, I think I'm going to start smoking again. And I'm like, I support it.
Nice. I'm starting to go shallow there, but those shit add up. You know what I mean? Like,
it absolutely does. And the more, how can we normalize weed in the best way, most positive way, in a way that's going to connect with people, in a way that's going to be meaningful?
How do you feel we can do that?
I mean, I think the three of us are very like-minded in that, is that we are who we are. We're open about our consumption and what weed brings to us. Like, you guys do this podcast. You have these conversations. I'm jealous of you. You have these awesome, beautiful conversations.
Really cool.
you're doing it right now.
That's what you do. That's your job.
That's what
right?
you're doing right now, too.
Right? And that's the light you're trying to radiate out is, I mean, I take that energy and I want to figure out how I can bring that same level of energy into everything I do, just like you're doing it.
Well, do you have any long-term goals, and do you think that goals are important personally and for businesses?
I mean, at this point, my long-term goal is just to maintain happiness, right? In terms of professional success, I don't have an art that I love.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm pretty sure, like, that's it.
You know?
I don't think there's anything else. Like, you can do stuff along the way, and it's, like, awesome, and, you know, and that, you know, creates richness in your life. But, like, yeah, I think that's...
I mean, at this point,
that's where I'm switching my goal to.
I put that same energy I put into myself, I'm putting into Rocket Factory, right? I'm working with them. They're employing me. They're providing me with a quality of life because they're paying me for what I do. But at the same time, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing for just a paycheck. I've done that. That's, you know.
And as you love them, because, like, you learn of Scott's story, you learn of Randy, how they came together. There's a great story. We still don't have Randy on the show. We'll let him go on that. But, like, when you love the people who you're fucking with, and that's why I'm quite selective of the brands that we work with, because I know that the media is timeless.
Right.
You know, you go that much harder. Like you said, like, it's like how you would. It's your product, because it is your product. You know, like, you accept it into your atmosphere as, like, quality, and then, you know, the work just becomes easy to give that much more and invest in, and like that's so powerful.
That passion comes from, I mean, and this is going to sound a little hokey, a little corny, but
Love it. Bring it on.
I mean,
More cringe. No.
smoking weed, you search for the best possible experience, right? And for me, part of that best possible experience includes the therapeutic value. Yes. But I always find that therapeutic value, when elevated, refracts into the psychotropic high, right? Like it's now turning a plant that was just THC into something psychedelic because it brings more, right? Like it becomes interdimensional. Like, I mean, no like connection with the space term, but it really opens up the qualitative experience when there's more. Just like if you put more time and effort into your own head, and kind of taking care of trauma and making sure all that's all settled, you're more in the moment. You're happier in the now, right? And with weed, the more qualities you can exude out, seen and unseen, yeah, they look big, they look beautiful, but at the same time, the therapeutic effects are just so long and
yeah, it keeps
not
me
just
high.
Same, yeah.
It's medicine. It's medicine
in the most beautiful way. And so smoking it, I'm just like, at the end of the day, it puts me in a happy place. So I'm able to share positive energy. And I mean,
you're the man.
And it allows me to also talk about the quality of the high, because that's what I'm smoking right now. And there'll be other guys that I'll try. And
for sure, you
some of that
gotta
shit's
keep your pulse on.
Right?
You're in the industry.
It's part of what I love about the industry is that there's so much good weed out there. We're not the only good weed out there, but in terms of the quality of effects I seek, I'm going to want to have the best possible experience.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I want to take acid or I want to be on mushrooms while just smoking weed.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have that ability to expand my mind in a time distorting way where I'm able to process and focus in on there, but still maintain a connection here. So I'm not drifting out as far as I do while on psychedelics.
Right.
But I'm able to have that same qualitative experience.
So just last night.
And that's what good weed does. And I mean, what's the difference? It's not, there's numbers that the government tells us and that we're focused on. And it definitely speaks to the quality of potentially what you're going to consume.
Yeah.
But it's more the holistic thing.
At the end of the day, it's a buzz.
I had your liquid imagination and it changed my life. And now that's like a strain for me because I am awesome on it.
Yes. Yes.
Like the version of me on liquid imagination is the ideal version of me. I'm not even I'm not joking.
Oh my
that's
God,
groovy.
I fucking agree.
That's super groovy.
So I get to practice. I get to practice that version of me. When I'm high on liquid imagination, and it's not very outside of me. I'm not like, ooh, I'm not changing into the mask or anything like that. But just like, I feel confident. I feel light on my toes. I feel social. I feel like I want to engage with people. And those are not qualities that I have often when I'm out.
The alpha pine, I mean, to geek out for a moment, the alpha pining that Scott evokes in his grows, it's like usually you'll find it in almost every strain, right? It's a very
tree.
Abundant.
Strong tree.
Right. But the levels that he gets it up to and the richness that he evokes out of it in the grow process, I mean, therapeutically, alpha pinene is going to be very soothing on anxiety. So you're consuming a sativa that is non-anxiety driving. It's not driven by limonene. It's not driven by terpinolene. Alpha pinene just it gives you that elevation, that ability to elevate, but it comes in slower. It's always a creeper terp for me, right? So it's slowly kind of bringing you up there opposed to just like a coin toss and like where it lands, heads or tails, I don't know, but it's going to be fast. Yeah. And so it's to have that stimulation in the head without that side of it.
Nailed it.
That's the bound. That's a refractive quality in terms of to not have anxiety driving moments.
Yeah.
Does that, and this is purely a question, does that refract into happiness? For those that it refracts into happiness, which I would say would be 99% of existence, because if you don't need soothing on that side, I mean, wow, good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We applaud you.
Yeah. it then brings out that much more level of happiness, which shines into a positive psychotropic expansion and experience.
Yeah.
Because it added that much richness to your life on that level, it then refracts out in beautiful energy on a psychotropic high, right? Like, is that the arc of a high? I don't know. This is just kind of how that alpha pinene, in my own opinion, from my own experience, where I get tremendous value on a therapeutic level. So my highs, if it's really rich, beautiful terpenes and cannabinoids in there and grown with love and energy, and also why I love these guys, because that's also the energy they put into their flower. It has that ability on a psychotropic level to just bring more. Like, a high can always be more.
I love the language that you're bringing. I love the fact that you just terpene geeked about it. This is exactly the conversation we want to have about the plant. I geeked out and Googled effects of alpha pinene, and it's so like you're fucking nailing it. It's recognized for its anti-inflammatory and
I wrote that shit. No.
no, it says right here.
Wikipedia. Yeah.
Mo by Mo. Mo by Mo.
No, don't fuck with that shit.
Look at this bronchodilator properties.
Wow.
Broncho, so it's
Oh.
like possibly
It-
anti-inflammatory of
for
your
the lungs,
for
yeah.
the lungs.
Asthmatic?
I have a theory that when people say, "Okay, but what about the carcinogens?" Checkmate, you got me. Smoke in your body, checkmate.
True.
But also, I'm not going to get into the comparable of like living in cities and exhaust, because that's just trying to beat the devil with details. Can't do that. But what I do want to say is cannabis has anti-inflammatory properties, and this term here, bronchodilator properties, it's like it feels like it's on the way to supporting my theory of I think that the anti-inflammatory properties cancel out
It balances.
the damage that the smoke may do. That's just my
Right.
theory. Anyway, moving right on to the rest of this. Believed to enhance focus, alertness, and memory.
Yes.
Alertness.
It's a
alertness.
pretty
Memory.
great, like, if you
You're like-
evoke the richness out of it.
Yeah. I
Um,
also wrote part of my script. I'm writing a script, and I wrote part of my script on it.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
And not only did I
It's so
feel
good.
more in flow, I felt more willing to like make mistakes. So it just really felt like, because I get so in my head, is
It
this good?
opens
Is
up
this
the
good?
light.
Yeah, it opens up so much more actually.
Mo with Mo.
Yeah.
Mo with Mo.
It's like
Right now?
a strain.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I love
Wow.
finding a good strain. That's what I love about the legal market too. Like, we're gonna get consistency.
Consistency.
It hasn't necessarily happened too much yet.
It's still an organic crop.
Yeah, and of course, there's always things that you can't,
Harvest that
For
whatever.
sure. But like, I just love that. I have this strain, and you can smoke it for as long as it works. And then
Randy,
eventually,
Scott, Mo,
sometime,
keep it going, please.
We're thinking of changing the name. Like, from what you just described, Liquid Imagination fits it. But really, I mean, we try to maintain a little more connectivity with genetics.
Sure.
So we're thinking about electric Skittles.
Cool.
Ooh, because
Yeah.
it's a
That's
blue
great.
Skittles and jet fueled gelato cross, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah. I love
whether
that.
here it stays is, I mean, that's. But at the end of the day, the fact that you're able to grow as a person while high, what?
Yeah.
Stereotype down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking cool.
Exactly.
Way
dude.
easier for me to be reactive and lean into my reactivity when I'm sober.
Fuck.
Just saying.
It's like where I live.
But-
if I'm not high, someone's getting it.
But I will say that I've gotten a lot better sober since just practicing.
It's
While high.
No, and yeah, while high for sure, and sober. But the high does a lot. It opens up a lot for me. It's like, and I don't forget it. Like, it's not, I do forget a lot of things when I'm high, but like it's like an emotional capacity that it opens up. And I don't forget that in the next day or in the coming
that's crazy.
days. I remember it. So when I am sober, I can be like, because that neural pathway starts to build, whether you're high or not. I really believe that.
Yeah, the state makes an imprint on you.
100%. And I mean, and that's almost why I like to go to fish shows.
Totally.
The moment, the ability for me to be in the moment at a fish show is at a heightened level, right? And that same imprint then I walk away with, and it gives me that like bigger goal. You ask me what my goals are. is to be in the moment as much as possible, right? And it gives me a blueprint of like, okay, now I have to put in time and energy in all these areas to get to that moment, to have it every day and every moment. That's what we want.
Can I ask you, because I fucking love that, and I want it to be my goal as well. I think I might be too egoic still to like fully to lean into that.
It hasn't become enough of a priority over like being right or whatever.
So my question is, do you have any people in your life that would be like, but Mo, don't you want to like achieve something or like, and how do you handle that if that's the case?
It's
Do you have materialistic parents?
my parents are pretty easygoing in that sense where, you know, I mean, part of me going into work in the bank was my mom worked in the bank.
Right.
Right, the brokerage side.
Yeah.
Right? So it was an easy job to get, and it was also a job that was just, you know, a little, like, all of a sudden I'm a professional.
Yeah.
Hey, Morris Berghaus, damn glad to meet you. Morris Berghaus, damn glad to meet you. Absolutely.
Damn great to meet you. Is that what you say? I can see you being dumb.
It's, so, you know, I definitely, that's been part of my life, you know, and I kind of, I mean, maybe that's how that all started. But at the end of the day, like, if you put your level of happy, can I achieve the same things, but putting more time and effort into getting myself there to achieve those things, right? If I want more, if I have a desire to provide and support my family, but not worry about disappointment, not worry about those forces, because sometimes they're wrong, right? I have the confidence to believe in what I want to do, and if anything, it's more processing the fact that it's upsetting to someone that is disappointed. Like, really, you don't have the same confidence I have in myself.
Yeah.
And your disappointment really is effectual. So now I have to process that.
Right.
But I still have the confidence to believe in it. I'm not going to let that disrupt the confidence. Like, that's...
process, not disrupt.
Yeah, so you have to get good
know?
at remaining in stride, even though you're hurt or feeling something or have some things to process mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
It's getting good at keeping the ball moving forward in your life, regardless of what internally alerts may be going off.
I mean, but to answer your question, yes. When I started in weed, I'm now divorced. I was married then. And not saying this was a driving factor, but it was part of my personality and became even more so of who I am.
Yeah.
Is
Like
that part of what
my wife
destructed
was not pro weed, right? And the more it became part of my life, the harder it became to manage that balance in terms of now I have to come up with other reasons for you to love me because those parts are disappointment,
Totally,
right?
I hear that.
Which is totally cool, and there's no regret involved in any of that.
For sure.
It's just we became two different people. Well, really, when you're working to become, you know, unified in terms of idealisms and philosophies, right?
That's the thing. That's what can hurt if you
relationships are tough.
So tough.
If you both don't see the same future, or if you don't see the same reality for a minute, it can be very jarring to the core of a relationship because you're like concerned, like if we don't see eye to eye on this, then what else? And then it's like, you know, I think that's why so many couples didn't make it through the pandemic as well, because like. Right. It got so overly politicized that so many people's ideals became butting heads constantly. Like people couldn't even make dinner together without fucking fighting.
Dude.
You know? It's just like, and then we just think we're right. We think we're right. We want to be right. Like somewhere in our life, you have to be right. Like the fact that you asked us, okay, can I park here? You had to get the information to be right. You can say I'm right to park there. You know, like it becomes a functional skill, but then when it gets transferred internally and emotionally and you internalize that shit of like needing your reality to be right or needing someone to like justify or affirm your vision.
Sorry, I'm going to pause you there.
Go.
The guy calling might have been about my car.
Oh, shit.
Fuck.
I'm glad I brought that up again.
Yeah, no, that just occurred to me.
Yeah.
It went. We got a suggestion that we should do a freestyle every show a little bit. So we're going to let our friend Mo.
I'm for a quick cigarette.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We're gonna let our friend Mo take a phone call.
Okay.
And me and Winnie are just gonna do a
Who
freestyle.
suggested that?
Matthew Santoro. But you're gonna start us off.
We were supposed to freestyle the other night after we read my script. Episode 2, halfway through episode 2. If anyone out there wants to give me $1 million to fund 8 episodes of my series that happens in LA, please do. If anyone wants to give me $1 million to fund my episode, then go ahead and do that. You all heard that he told me to take the first set, so I went and took it even though I interrupted him.
Get it.
I love freestyling. It makes me smiling. And I want to ride him, but not right now because that's inappropriate.
Slow it down and we going down, doing shows right now, writing scripts. Yeah, we lighting this, baby lighting spliffs. 5 to 6, moved to the 6, became like this and moving with Mo today. Slow for sure, slow tomorrow. Okay, wait, that's our new memorandum that we might as well state every time when we open the show. Cause after this is like, oh no, I can't let my ego take control. No, alright, you tune in and you watch the show and you about to know our guidance from our man who is a deadhead. He's seen Grateful Dead like 80 times, it's incredible, no one is ahead. An awareness from this guy and he's appearing like a spirit, talking up here like, yeah, I gotta clear it. Where you going, move your car?
I gotta move the car.
Okay.
Go and move it, do it hard. Alright, do your thing and come back before you leave.
I have to also let you out.
Also let him over, she got the key, peace, G's, ayy. It was already a good conversation, let me tell you what it is. Let me say that Mo comes on the show and he tells us all for show what we really need to know. He had a near-death experience, nearly went delirious, so connected like the lyrics is. Talk about that the spirit is going down through your larynx in your breath and you take it in. We got lemonine, we got pinene. When Scott cooks it, he gets it in. Randy the man, we doing it now. We showing the brands, we proving out how you can expand with the people that you love and you show like, look at these buds. Holy fuck. The product speaks for itself, but I'm speaking up like Raga Factory, dog, we blasting off. Moved into the center, cause I'm centered, y'all. Self-centered with the flow, man, I'm taking over. $1 million for Winnie's episodes, yo, let's go.
Oh, the beat finish. That was perfect.
So like, we're getting an investor for your episodes in your show, but when Mo came on, he blows our mind. Just right on time for what I'm going for. What did we learn from Mo? He taught us how to grow. Not like Scott grows this dopeness, but the dope person that we all wanna become. What you running from? Where you take it to? Yo, Winnie, tell us what we just learned is new.
No reactivity. No reactivity. Take a breath, take a moment, find the response. You can do what you want, still be kind though. No reactivity. No reactivity. Take a breath, take a moment, you got this. Choose to be kind, there's no other option.
I try to be kind, but how come I can't seem to get out ahead of my mind? Step every time and it seems to be the wrong way. Forgive myself and move on to the next day. All great, I guess I'm a beast, that's what got me here, but I gotta leave the old me in the mirror. The reflection of what I used to be, harder to grow into what I want to be, but inevitably I'm gonna get a challenge sometimes. Might as well take what's now in my mind, in my space, and I know I wanna show teeth like I'm so white, I'm so like, fangs out. Gangster, ready to bang now. Pull a pistol out before I put my hands down. Ready to go to war and to spank out anybody who's talking anything that is opposing to me. You go and it seems, and now supposedly I am just growing more than I've ever grown to be before. Yeah, new chapters, new doors, new levels, new devils, new keys to unlock and ask more. What's Mo saying, yo?
When you find that your mind is telling you lies, stop and take a moment because you need to Explain to this guy that it's better to be aligned. It's better to be aligned. It's better to be aligned. Don't worry, sometimes you're lying to yourself. You don't have to believe it because you can find truth somewhere else. And what we're doing now is rapping all the time. I guess we're turning this into a rap show. No reactivity. No reactivity. Find response, take a breath, take a moment, you'll be fine.
Hold on. I gotta take responsibility for all my emotions.
Be kind.
I guess it'll be a better place where I'm going
Be kind.
than where I've been before. When I'm sea to seeing more. Go seed to grow, you know I come all aboard like a rocket ship and blast off like non-stop when I get a double pocket. When I rock it, when it's hotter than it's ever been, and I don't do vodka. No, I do more pot with the hot topics. Get lit like the tropics. It's hot if you got a hot topic. No, stop this yet nonsense that I feel it by myself when I smoke a little joint and I relax and I realize it's not everybody else.
Give me a $1 million for my show. That's the point of this whole episode. Give me $1 million for my show.
Sure.
That was pretty good. Disciplined Stoners is now a freestyle rap group.
Yep. So we do it at our Paradox Live show, which actually it's a hot topic right now. Our buddy Mo is moving his car, but we can still talk about the great Rocket Factory that I'm rolling up right here. They are our partners for that show, our flower partners. We got a can of cover coming.
I'm a big puffer, certified lover. Two double barrel joints pointed at each other. About to blast off to another realm. I be so high I can barely see myself. We got Rocket Factory and we got Simply Beer. If you like putting it in the air, then get your booty in here. I don't care, we give you double the value of the money. You want some joints, how many is plenty, you tell me. Mouth full of Fruit Loops like breakfast at Denny's. Yeah, I'm nutty, but the rapping makes up for it, trust me. All vibes when we speak, podcasts every week. Liquid imagination, we be thinking right and going deep. Gorilla, gold-plated teeth with a silver bullet killer. Philosophically, I put myself up on the cross and leave y'all to watch. Just me and God try to duke it out and see who comes off on top. And if I'm not honest, it turns y'all off. Yuck. Guided by the plan, y'all Ellevan, where you at? I'm just hiding by the facts. Right up in the back, somebody put him in the trash, but we about to bring him back. Big puffer, certified lover. Two double barrel joints pointed at each other. Paradox Live show like no other. That is not a cover, that's a purchase order. When you getting all this type of materials, you're a hoarder. Let me tell you what you probably sorta gonna get for sure though. We got OG Gelato, Frosty and Cold as Chicago. We got Sandra and Winnie looking like queens of Toronto. We got Jazz special guest, she's been out repping the West. Now she's back home to flex, and Joey's hosting the best show you've ever seen. Oh yeah, and speaking to me, I'll be there blazing my weed. It's more than you've ever seen. Peace.
Rocket Factory, great people.
You love their wheelchair Jimmy.
So much, but they had to change the name. It's the OG Gelato Kush now. OG Kush Gelato.
You love their OG Kush gelato.
Yeah, I know I do. I really do. I smoke it quite a bit.
I love gelato too.
It all works out when you take a look. It all works out when you take a look. Untangle the wires and read a book. Take some breaths and take a look at what is happening now. We don't want to lose our religion. We don't want to drop our vibration. We just want to keep on living. But I'm trying to be patient. Yeah, next goal, next thing. Next run, next sing. Oh yeah, what is this juxtapositioning that my mind gives me and I'm just in and we're still going. Mo, you got a good parking spot to go going. Okay, that's cool, he's back. Let's stop rapping now, facts.
I guess that's a parking spot now.
We got Rocket Factory and we got Simply Beer. If you like putting it in the air, then get your booty in here.
Yeah, dude, it was really cool, this whole convo. We basically just like shot some additional content, but like I feel like we're on like an hour and a half. We can probably like zip her up pretty soon.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, great chat. I
Me
think
too.
people will resonate with it. We overcomplicate things. It feels like you have simplified some things in your life that are your driving force, and it feels like it's like natural, like nature.
It's
Somehow.
we have the ability to change that. right? Like that's where a lot of the time and energy I focus on is that's the goal. How do I slow down time so I can enjoy it more? And then also there's so much that comes with that.
Yeah.
Right? And it just vibrates out in a beautiful way for me. So it's...
And you just start seeing it. Like, I think for people who are like, yeah, that's nice if that's how you feel. But I really have seen how my perspective, like, molds time. Like, things that would take me longer to get, or something like when I am easy and flowing, I somehow get there in 10 minutes when it would normally take me 25.
Right.
Like maybe not that extreme, but like 25 and like 14, you know, like I seem to get there in a time capacity
when
that
you're
just
not
doesn't
stressed.
make sense.
When you're open.
Yeah, when you're open and present and with what's in front of you. I have a little saying on my bike because I recycle around the city. My saying is immediate and a little bit. Like, that's where my focus is immediate and a little bit. And sometimes I just use that in life, right? Like, if you're overwhelmed by the, like, I don't know, just like the immense...
Everything.
Like, everything.
The spectrum of life.
Like, it's so big, and we're also so small, and the, like, contrasting experiences that we have here on Earth is, like, just a lot to handle sometimes. But so if you're in that situation, you're like, okay, what's immediate? Nice. And that's bringing it back to the present, too, right? Like, what's right in front of me that I want to attend to? And then just a little bit further than that, not much, just a little, like, you know?
It's, I mean, to do more in that sense, that's people that extend themselves out and put together perspectives. That's amazing because that takes time and effort in terms of really creating something that someone is going to identify with. If you say something, that's a little sentence, but at the same time, you're sharing your own idea. And how much, you know, how layered and textured it could be by the amount of detail that's shared with you, right? And if you have the ability to enrich in how you speak, in how you are, and like just that energy, for me, that's the drug, right? Like positive energy is... I mean, it's just a beautiful way of life to base everything else off of.
Oh, it really is.
You know, like it's very Taoistic in a lot of sense, you know, where it's like, enjoy it, but they're shutting everything else off to be able to enjoy it in the way that they're trying to achieve while we're
non-attached enjoyment.
While we're trying to interact. We're making it so much more complicated than those philosophies intended it to be.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to seek this way of life, it's best to become a monk, you know?
But like you've given
otherwise that shit gets tough. And we're like the exact opposite society and where you can achieve all that stuff. So how do you make it work for you? You know? It's because the more you love about society, the more you want to be part of it, the more complicated everything could be, or if there's just one force driving it, that's just happiness.
People really don't want to hear.
And put the work into being happy and let that solve everything. Not that it's like a do-all elixir, but it slows down the time to be able to find the time to do that.
Yeah. I would also like to clarify your definition of happiness, because I think sometimes people think like, oh, happy is like me at my top excitement where everything feels the best it's ever felt in my life. And I'm like, I thought that's what happiness was for.
I was going to say, you have a great way of saying stay positive without being toxic positivity or becoming preachy about it. And like, that's just amazing. Like to stay positive, to encourage, but not to try and ramp up the happiness, because that's fucking exhausting too. It's like you aim for peace or something.
It's I like to give nuggets, I guess. Right?
Nice.
If you want to pay attention, you're going to identify with the energy in a passive way and catch on to those subtle vibrations.
Yeah.
Because if I turn it full volume, shoot it in your direction, you're just going to be like, what the fuck? That was like either crazy or just like weird.
11.
Right?
Well, that's always welcome here, Mo.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's usually the volume that I move at around you because I'm able to exude everything, right? Like that's being around the people you want to be around allows you to also be more because you can turn the love light up.
Yeah.
You know, you just keep on turning it up, and it just inspires. You know,
bro, that's huge that you say that. That's true. I feel like I'm too much for most people, like outside of like a 2-minute interaction, and I can't say I blame them.
It's their loss, dude.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
It only gets better after 2 minutes.
Bless you, bro. Appreciate you.
That's true. It does get better.
But you know what I mean? Like there's this bless you, and I appreciate you guys. But like there's this. I feel like you mentioned this. We go against the consensus. Like it's like my optimism can become wearing on people who have bought into a reality of lack mentality, and then I'm just like. Just by speaking, I'm not preaching to them. I'm just like generally finding things to be grateful for, and they're like, yeah, but you're like irresponsible. And they just like don't trust me unless I'm stressed out as a person. Just like across the board, like people.
Totally.
But then here's where I say, I get to say, oh, I'm a full-time artist. It's a fluke. And then they feel better about it because I'm like a wacky jester. But then it's like, you know, they need to understand how I fit into society. But it's like, it's also a funny thing if you're always positive. Some people don't initially innately take you seriously. Not that I need that for my ego, but for them,
right.
They're like, oh, that's over there. Like, that's just over there. And I'm like, yeah, but like, I think it feels good to feel good. And I don't know why we didn't collectively get off on that idea.
Why isn't that the first thing they teach in school?
You know what I mean? Like,
right?
what
like
is
that's
it? What
better
the
than
fuck?
math and reading and writing. I mean, it's more essential.
You know, and I feel like I will eventually always be, maybe these are my own limiting beliefs, but I'm like kind of okay with it in my own diabolical way. I will always be not voted out of the group, but I will initially kind of go do my own thing like a cat at one point or another, or somebody's going to be like, this dude's too overwhelming. Like, I can't have this all the time. And I get that. Because it's a lot of energy. Right. So I've kind of learned to make peace.
You move so quickly. You literally can't. You can't.
I can't. Yeah, I don't slow down that much, but I do honor the term of, like, if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. You know?
What, are we smoking the ID? Sorry to interrupt. I don't think I've smoked this before.
Mm-hmm.
The one in the jar.
The white.
You tried
back
it,
at our place.
What are your thoughts on this?
Look at the clay white ash.
Just out of curiosity.
Look
is
at
this
that.
the meaty one?
This is, yes, but it's crystal locomotive. So really, like in terms of the pheno that we found of that, it's which is a cut of Aloha White Widow, which is a cut of Trainwreck, where you get to crystal locomotive. But the sunshine, like for me, it's just pure, radiant, sweet sunshine.
It's amazing. Well said. Pure radiant sweet sunshine. It has a bit of a
sometimes
at the edge. It's like a little myrcene or something too, or something.
There is. That's right.
The white the
lemonine in it. Scottbro's great lemonine.
Yeah.
Like in terms
Look
of,
at the oil.
because it's also it's got that soothing element to the driving quality, like encompasses. Anyway, all of it.
No, please.
Carry off.
But really, yeah, a beautiful sativa.
Wow, so cool, man. Appreciate you, dude.
Like the light smoke on it too.
I know it's a nice puffer and passer.
Anyway,
I'm grateful.
Thank you for
Yeah.
No,
thank you.
I'm like, did I ask all the questions? I feel like it was so clarifying. Like, personally, it was so nice. Always nice to lock in and jam with you. Real deal, Mo. More money, more blessings. More fun times.
Always.
More good vibes together. More co-creation. More great weed to smoke. More wonderful moments. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like after talking to you.
Always, I hope. Yeah, that's.
After talking to
100%.
you, I feel like I want to continue my reactivity work even more. Like I almost feel like, oh yeah, like try me, you know?
No, don't ever say bring it on to the universe,
I know,
bro.
But almost. I don't want it. I'm taking back.
Always.
But almost.
Always.
That shit head on.
Oh, I love it. I'm just like.
I think we
I'll
had
take-
a good one just now.
Yeah. I'm a little exhausted. I'm like, and hey, I came out victorious, I feel.
I I mean, by talking with you guys, the conversation as dynamic and fulfilling or enriching as it is, I 100% shared energy on that.
Yeah.
You
Appreciate
both open up perspectives of me that it's just it moves everything and helps it become more. Hanging out with you guys.
Isn't that nice,
That's fucking
bro?
beautiful.
Appreciate
Good
you, man.
vibes,
Yeah,
dude. Absolutely.
The harmony
So
does
nice.
help. Like,
so thank you too.
It helps to talk about this thing we got going on here.
It's complicated.
It's very complicated.
Complicated shit, dude.
And also simple.
But yeah, well, the solutions are simple.
But it is.
But the initial process and ask, I think, of life just by being a human is very complicated. But the solutions are often very simple. But they're just through a bunch of other stuff that you gotta like, oh, okay, cool.
It's almost like you can make it as complicated as possible or as simple as possible to come up with the same decision.
Yeah.
Put the time and effort to make it as simple as possible, and then it's not as like, oh my God, exhausting.
Yeah.
That's what they say about the master,
The
right?
path of most allowance.
Shrink it like
Said that
like a
today
snowball,
already.
like a good hard snowball that you don't throw at someone.
And if you truly understand something, you can explain. I think the marker of like to understand if somebody understands something is if they can explain it simply.
Oh.
Like you can tell me what a snowball is because you know. It's like ice or snow packed together because you know what that is. But if you didn't really know what it was, there's a scene in Elf, and they're throwing a bunch of them, and it snows in Boston sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't focus on exactly the simplicity of what that is. It's like identifying things like that. Building that mechanism is helpful in our like psycho ethos, you know, like to understand and affirm the choices you're making and the direction you're going as a being through many dimensions of thought, energy. Like your spirit being is first. That's your energy, right? And it's before anything. And then we land here in this half animal, half God thing. I have the power to create my reality and literally bring something to me, but also I need to shit, eat, and fuck. Like, we're right there. We're right, like, we're the opportunity for mind to exist. So we condemn the mind when we feel negative emotions, but we're fucking so grateful for the mind when we cherish a beautiful memory or eat a hot dog and feel those things blast off in our...
Absolutely.
You know? So it's like you kind of got to just like find the balance, as you said, man. Like, this conversation has helped me find the balance.
That's cool, man.
I think so. Yeah, I really appreciate
It's
you. Sick
because
job.
I mean, again, I believe in the ethos of we all rise together. The more everything positive I did, in a sense, talking with you in that shared experience, because it's a shared experience. You elevate a certain level, I'm elevating just that same amount of level. Like we're working on we all rise together. So you're not going up if I'm not going up in some way,
and
if
you're
not
going up
in the
just
same.
by listening to this.
Yeah.
The homies are
And the
vibing and
smoke
rising.
is going up.
That ID with my G. Highly recommend you sharing this and giving it a
Thank
like.
you. I was just
Good
thinking,
session, then.
I love this pod.
Yeah. This
I
session.
love this. I
I'll be
love
playing this.
And thank you for loving it too.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you
Subscribe.
for having me.
Is there somewhere where you'd
Our pleasure.
like to direct people?
Yeah, where
We'll
can
put
they
it
find
in the
you?
description below.
Or what do you want people to go check out? Whatever.
In terms of
Just a plug. Like,
Yeah,
if you
want
want to be found
yourself
online, some
or-
people say they don't want to be found online.
if you go to rocketfactory.ca, there's some beautiful information, some graphics. Scott builds rockets, like 12 feet, 16-foot rockets. Not so much
Actually?
of that on there. Yeah, no, hence the Rocket Factory. It's a passion of his. So he's,
Oh my
again,
God.
extending the whole idea.
That's
He's
cool.
sharing something nice about himself.
I love
that. Which is...
it's about the story.
it brings out, I mean, something like that brings the kid out in me, you know?
Oh, I
Like,
love that, I love
Absolutely.
that.
I love Lego, man. It's still like, that was the best part
Yeah.
about kids is like, yeah, I got to like build Lego with them.
Oh, that's awesome,
know?
dude. Thank you.
It's,
Sick. So yeah, rocketfactory.ca. We'll put that in the description.
and,
Oh, sorry. Anything else?
Rocket Factory _ official Instagram if you want to. We'd love to have you.
Yep.
It'd be nice. Come.
Fuck yeah, dude.
All
Shenanigans.
Any final wisdom to drop on the people? A single liner that people can keep in their hearts?
If you work in the industry and you support the industry and this culture, remember, we are all enablers. We all want people to consume more, be higher, and also be more everywhere else. We are all enablers like we have been today. Absolutely. So embrace that about yourself and make it more.
Thank you.
Love. Thank you
you.
guys. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Have fun. Send nudes to those who you're allowed to. Subscribe. Call your parents if it feels good in your body. And see you next time. Bye. So good.
So fun.
Welcome to Disciplined Stoners, the gateway drug to mindfulness. Look deeper.
To think that we started this podcast to fight a stigma, only to uncover so much love that we realized that you can't put your energy anywhere but what you want.
Look deeper.
And what we want is authentic conversation. What we want is quality medicine. What we enjoy is each other.
We get to learn from our guests. Manage the best. I would manifest this.
Part of the magic of the plant is how it uncovers what you've been hiding away.
So much love.
Look deeper. Feel more. Tune in.
So much love. Look deeper.
We're not here to be lazy.
Welcome to Disciplined Stoners,
We're not here to distract ourselves.
the gateway drug to mindfulness.
We're here to learn. We're here to grow.